It's a super fun day on the homestead. Brooder is empty, which obviously means we have to fill it with meat chickens. Let's go pick them up. The tractors are ready. Waterers are hung in the tractors with care, in hopes that St. Chicken Nugget soon would be there. So one of my friends owns a facility called Stump House Farms, which hatches out Cornish cross chickens. And it's about 45 minutes away from me in Greenville, which is great because then I can go pick them up and I don't have to put them through the stress of getting shipped. Well, first of all, who are you?
Tyler Chastain, owner of Stump House Farms. This unit was manufactured by Robbins in about 1930.
Wow.
Solid red wood. It holds about 30,000 eggs, and it has about 30,000 eggs in it right now.
Look at that. So these tilt back and forth,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
That's so cool.
So the way it works is this mechanism. That's a lot of weight.
Yeah, that's a lot of weight.
These are setter hatcheries, and but we use them primarily as hatching. So, you know, at day 18, we take these trolleys that are full of these queen trays, and then we take the eggs out of that machine, put them into these trolleys, stack them up.
So these would be, this is your lockdown phase?
Exactly, yeah. 2 smaller hatches, it's about 7,500 chicks. And that 3rd week, we hatch about 15,000 chicks.
Wow.
That's kind of our rotation.
And so you're shipping out most of them, right?
Yes, shipping out, and then we also established a delivery route that extends into North Carolina, Virginia, and West Virginia. Wow. And so we have larger customers that are along that route.
So how many are going out today?
About 7,500.
It's a lot of birds.
Yep, so the idea is egg in and then chick out.
Gotcha. Nice little flow.
Yep.
That's so cool, dude. Got a bunch of little birdies in there. Let's take them home. Get them in the brooder. Seem to be doing really well. 2 heat lamps, 2 feeders. I like these little feeders for the first couple of days. They're just simple and easy and they hold a pretty good amount of feed. I've got a little vacuum waterer. This is magic water. Heard Justin Rhodes talk about a little bit of apple cider vinegar, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of honey. Apparently can just give them a little boost right out the bat. The things your chicks need the most when you get them home is heat. You don't want them to be cold. You need to appreciate that there's almost nothing cuter on a farm than a tiny little chick. We also have some grit, some sand in here. Chickens don't have teeth. They need some grit in their gizzard to grind up their feed. If you're looking at your chicks' droppings and there's big chunks of their feed that's not digested, they probably need some more grit. So this is day 1. This is day 1 of meat chickens. These birds will be in here for probably about 3 weeks, maybe just shy of 3 weeks, and then we'll get them out on grass and just watch them grow. Probably come back out here tonight and watch them. Chicken TV is way better than Paw Patrol. I like to think that I come off the Joel Salatin coaching tree, so I'm a big believer that every piece of farm infrastructure should be mobile if it can be. So I need to build another chicken tractor. I'm a big believer in pocket hole joinery because it's better than everything else I know how to do. One of the things that I'm trying to do is build it super strong. On my last one, I didn't use any glue. I just used fasteners. I'm gonna use glue and fasteners. A little real Gorilla Wood Glue Ultimate. It's supposed to be a pretty decent wood glue. These need to be 2.5s. So that's the rear of it. Dimensions are gonna be 7 by 10, so 70 square feet. Should be tall enough to walk into. Those little dust catchers work a lot better when they're not full. One of the things I feel like I'm always working on is trying to figure out like what's the fastest way to do things. And it's certainly not trying to film YouTube videos while you're doing them. But one of the things that I feel like I have learned is as much as you can batch certain tasks, go ahead and batch them. Here's a good tip. When you're building things, these aren't screwed in yet, but triangles are your friend. They may be the only friend you have, but they're a good one. You can get the width and the length dimension from this. I know it's not really necessary to be able to go into the shelter, but I really enjoy it and my kids really enjoy it too. One of the design criteria for me, for my portable shelters, is I want to be able to go inside of them because I want to be able to take my kids in there and show them what we're doing. The other big difference that I like about something like this as opposed to like a Salatin style shelter is on butcher day, sometimes it can be kind of hard to get the chickens out of a shelter you can't get into. Something to consider. This is much bigger than my other one. My other one's 6x8 and this one's being 7x10 feels enormous compared to that. This is gonna be awesome. If you've never worked with hardware cloth before, the best tool for it is definitely an angle grinder. The best way I've found to deal with hardware cloth is one of these little power staplers. Very, very nice. So as a general rule, you don't want too much stuff on the bottom, but I think a brace of this sort of magnitude, the juice is worth the squeeze, I guess. Cool. I like how this is shaping up. I like this a lot. So this front piece I put as a 2x6. The other chicken tractor I built has a 2x6 up front as well, which is really to stop the chickens from jumping out when you're feeding them or opening the door. So this is the material I'm using for the roof. These are actually the top bars from some old IBC totes. I always saved them from my totes without really knowing what I was gonna do with it. They're pretty strong, they're cheap, I have them, and they work. So one of the things you gotta do is kind of bend them roughly flat. They don't have to be perfect, but take that hard 90 out of them. So I have all of my pieces ready for the roof. I got the roof frame on. It's going to be a lot sturdier once it's connected to the front part of the frame. We're most of the way done here. I added another piece of the roof so that this will very comfortably fit one piece of hardware cloth that goes up and over. So there'll be an exposed portion so the sun can get in, and then basically from here back will all be covered. This is just really like a windscreen. There's hardware cloth on this side of it, so it's still predator proof. But you want your chickens to have a chance to be able to get out of the breeze. You want a lot of ventilation. That's one of the things I didn't do a super good job of on the first coop I built, which I'll bring up here when I'm done with this and show you guys some of the things I'm gonna change. This thing has the feeling of somebody like a monkey who just discovered a miter saw, but it's pretty fun. Then I had a little knob knocking around the shop, and just so it's nice and easy to pull it closed once you're in here. You know, I don't have a huge amount of experience raising broiler chickens. I've got a decent amount with laying hens, but I don't know enough to like observe them from outside a coop and know exactly what's going on with them. So I want to be inside looking at them, watching their behavior, looking at their poop, like really trying to understand what's going on with my birds in an effort to try and make sure they have everything they need, stop any problems before they would arise. It's fairly rigid. This is a chicken coop, not a rhinoceros coop. Here's a tip. If you're a carpenter, but you're not very good at math, use ChatGPT. So the horizontal leg's 25 and the vertical leg's 37. How long should it be and what ends should be mitered which? And it will do the math perfectly for you every time. I think that's a smarter, not harder thing. This one is mostly done. This is the first one I built, which is similar to this one, but a lot worse. So this one's made out of IBC totes too, and old real estate signs. This one's only 6x8. The biggest problem, this door, you can't see through it. I need to reinforce the handle. I'm gonna fix the wheels, and that'll be a lot better. The fun part about this chicken tractor is I spent like legitimately 40 bucks on it. I had all of this stuff. Some of it's kind of crappy, or I got it for free. The bulk of the money I spent on was I bought a used bike for the tires off of it, which is what these are. And this is the lifting net mechanism I came up with. It's just a pipe, and it hooks in there, but it lifts it really easy. It's just not strong enough. This was a fun project. It's still big enough to get inside, but you can't stand up, obviously. It was raining while I was doing most of that, so the audio is terrible. But here's everything I did. So I added some bracing. I cut out a hole in the door. I grab it right here, and I really like being able to see down in on the trailing edge to make sure that you're not crushing one of your birds. And added some, these are some more pieces of IBC tote. Really shored that up. And then the wheel system, which is basically the same system I used on the other one. Slightly different wheels. Are the biggest flat free wheels that Harbor Freight sells. Picked these up last week. And then stop block. It's a lot better than what I was using. I'm excited to use it. I love the way the brooder looks at night. So the chicks are 3 days old. One of the things you want to look for with your brooder temps, you want to have your lights, if you've got enough space like this, you want to have your lights low enough to where they make a little ring around it. They find the area that's the right temperature, and then they all kind of get to that point. A big part of keeping chickens alive is feeding them. That's same with most things. But so I need to make a few more chicken feeders. That's one of the things that I DIY'd the first time I ever did it. It turned out really good. So I'm just gonna kind of copy that. So I made them out of these downspout, which I got for free. You might be like, well, why do you save 6-inch pieces of 2x4? It's for stuff like this, Karen. So to start with, I'll just do whatever length that is. It's definitely like a rat's nest in here. All of that was inside there. Looks like an old blanket or something. There's a little line in the middle. That's what I call it. You get 2 blocks, roughly the same length. Then you're left with this kind of number. This stops it from getting knocked over. You want to fit something over the top. I use a piece of PVC pipe. You want it low enough and then it spins that they can't really get into their feeds. These are 4-inch, quarter-inch carriage bolts. For the most part, I don't really like carriage bolts. If you do seat them with the hammer, like I did, they do work a lot better. I like these for this application because they're continuous thread, and a lot of bolts that I saw at Lowe's were not. Not gonna let some chick stand up on it, which is cool. If you can see how this lip kind of curves in on itself, if you don't have that, when the chicks rake with their beak, they'll spill a lot of feed. This helps to keep it much more contained as opposed to just a flat edge. So you waste a lot less feed. It's kind of the same principle as if you make one of these out of like a PVC pipe, which is pretty popular. You don't want to cut it in half. You want to cut about 1/3 out of the top. Joel Salatin taught me that. There's like $3 in this with screws and hardware and everything. And I think that's a really, really good solution. You know, you can buy feeders like that for quite a bit of money, or you can make them save a lot of money. This is one of the few things that maybe I could claim as an original thought in my life. I don't think I'd ever seen anybody else do this. I'm sure somebody has, but this is my little design that I came up with that I'm really happy with. So I'm gonna make a few more. Chicken feeders are done. So it's Good Friday. Happy Easter. My broiler chickens in the brooder are 10 or 11 days old. And they're growing like crazy, but it also means I need to get my chicken tractors down to pasture. I'm gonna move them down there under my own power. That's kind of the point. It's crazy how much stiffer my new one is, just with all the bracing and gluing, than my old one is. Countering another problem I'm gonna solve today, which is I need to scrape my drive a little too uneven. Look at this clover. My laying flock's over there. So I mowed a strip wide enough for both tractors to kind of follow this course. This is just too tall. This is like 2.5 feet tall, maybe 3 feet tall in some places. Broiler season's officially already started, but golly, this is a big step in the right direction. These tractors will move every day, 1 space forward all the way to right about back there. Basically, once we get back there, the birds will be ready to turn from chickens to food. Chicken is back on the menu, boys. My wife did that. Another shot of the rear of them. Pretty neat. So my broiler chickens are now 13 days old. Look at these little beauties. But the problem is I don't have water down to my front pasture yet. Now I know Joel Salatin says you can't haul water, You can't afford to. But I'm hauling water for this round of meat birds. They drink a lot. You need a lot of water, and I'm trying to build my system to where I don't have to take anything down there every day. I just have to take myself. This is a food grade IBC tote, and I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do with it. So it's pretty clean, but I need to clean it out a little bit more. I put some dish soap in there. Let it soak. Open this. Hey Doug, hey Boomer. How you boys? Hey buddy. My, you've grown. Hi buddy. Here's a good tip. Save these bars. If you do a lot of stuff with IBC totes, they're useful pieces of stuff. Save them. Or don't, or throw them away. Or hey, give them to me. This is a ProTech. I actually don't know the model on this. This is a very fine pocket knife. So this tote will now go join my firewood fleet because I do firewood in IBC totes because it's the best way to do it. Hot takes. That's plenty clean enough. Now I'm gonna stick this tote in the little fire trailer I built in a previous video, and that's gonna become my potable water trailer. All right. Haha. Part 2 of the plan starts now. So now what I gotta do is get something that will let me fill a bucket out of there. So I got some goodies from Amazon. The crux of it is really this little number, which is a cam lock adapter. Cam lock adapter, PVC pipe fitting. This will screw onto here, and then it'll cut a piece of pipe and attach an elbow that basically is about that long, and then I'll be able to put a bucket right underneath there. A little bit of that prime and goodness. This stuff might have gone off. I think for what this is just gonna have to work. How about that, huh? Beautiful job, amazing work. Just put a bucket under there, open up the valve. Close it, and we're good to go. Stupid, and it works. It's not stupid. I'm gonna fill it up. Chicken feed for broilers got here. Let's go get it. This is also a lot of my laying feed for 2 months. That's 1,650 pounds. I'm glad I have the bush hog on. Gotta have that ballast. So this is all Sunrise Farms non-GMO feed. Same feed that Joel Salatin uses at Polyface. I order it and have it shipped here to South Carolina. They're a small family-owned farm. They test every single load of grain that comes in for glyphosate. It's just feed I can feel good about feeding my birds. Makes tasty eggs too. Very tasty. And it smells good. We're just a few days away from getting my birds out on pasture. I need to finish my systems and get all my feed down there. I got a good idea for how to do that. I'm gonna keep all my feed and stuff in here. It's supposed to be tied up for a few weeks, but I don't really use it that often. I mostly lend it to my friends. 2 metal barrels. I'll get the lids on them in a minute. You can fit 5 bags in each, 2 feed buckets, 2 water buckets. And then something I'm gonna be doing a little differently this year is I'm gonna weigh out the feed. I've got this little scale. I'm gonna hang it up in here. Bucket weighs 2.04 pounds. The scale is so I can take the guesswork out of how much feed to feed every day. So I'll have a little chart, I'll do it in Excel, print it off, put it in here, and then I just measure that out and feed it to them. And that should be right about what almost exactly what they need. You know, after about 3 weeks old, you want to feed your birds 12 hours on, 12 hours off. Otherwise, they can start to develop some pretty significant and sometimes fatal health issues related to heart attacks and things like that. Not good stuff. The reason I'm putting everything in this trailer is because my house is here, and then way down there, the little white thing in the woods that's my front pasture where I'm going to be running these birds. I want to be able to wake up in the morning, go down there with nothing in my hands, and have everything I need to take care of these birds. It'll also be really nice to be able to kind of measure out their feed under cover when it's inevitably raining. You know, these are animals. This is having livestock. You got to take care of them no matter what the weather. So having somewhere to do that covered will be nice. And with the water trailer, I think I should have a pretty robust system for, you know, pretty easy chicken chores, which, you know, I work full-time. I have a full-time demanding career, and I'm a father, and this isn't the only thing I'm doing. So I have to make everything I do as easy as it can be on me, even if that means taking a little bit of time to get something like that set up. I find that the investment in the organization, in the systems, pays off every time you use them. So as these tractors move up, then a little bit past this area, and then I'll move these two. I'll move them and kind of leapfrog them again. And that should hopefully try and keep my time and motion down pretty good. It's one of the things I've learned. If you can study how and try and improve how you do things, and frankly, a lot of this stuff is just material handling, getting things from certain places to another. If you can figure out how to do that good, you can save a lot of time. And if you can save a lot of time, you can get more stuff done. It's only supposed to keep honest men honest, but, and one for good measure. And I'm pumped. Oh, I'm pumped. Nothing like getting your birds on grass. These birds are gonna have what they need, and they're gonna provide nourishing protein for me and my family. What a blessing. The big day is here. Hello, birdies. It's time to go to pasture today. Dog crate. This is the top of an IBC tote. Now comes the fun part, catching 48 chickens. These are way easier to catch than laying birds because they're slow and lazy. Sometimes the last two can take a long time. They're all hanging out in here. I want to get them down to the pasture now. Towing critters in the back of something, try and go slow. $20 in here, 28 in here. Everybody seems to be healthy, happy, enjoying their new surroundings. It's Stay out of here, Doug. It's good to see birds on grass. Now that they're in the tractors, it's just a daily rhythm of feeding, watering, and moving. So these will move forward the length of themselves every day, all the way around the field, until it's time to graduate to freezer camp. So that's the first 3 weeks of raising meat chickens. It takes a lot of preparation. It's a lot of work to get to this point, particularly if you haven't done it a lot of times. Like me, I'm still kind of dialing in my systems and how I want to do it. It warms my heart to see birds on grass. I love it. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'm not saying that I'm some sort of authority on it, but I do know a lot more than somebody who's never done it. Poultry is the worst of the worst when it comes to industrial farmed meats. Nothing has lent itself to industrialized agriculture quite as well as the chicken has. This is just a small part of the way that me and my family are trying to opt out of that system that is horrific towards animals and not good towards people either. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. If you have any questions, again, leave them in the comments. If you like this sort of thing, stick around. There's a lot more to come. And until then, I'll see you on the next video.